And we're going to be putting our Twitter question of the day out.
Yep.
And we want to put our own poll because La Presse had their version of a poll of who their listenership or readership, if you will, would be the next Montreal Canadiens coach. And there seems to be a biased opinion there. And there seems to be a biased opinion here when it comes to what names we should put on the list. Because we don't just want to ask you, who do you think will be? We want to give you 3 or 4 names and pick from those names.
Right.
Well, the first names that Hamel and I had come out with were Patrick Roy, of course, who was part of the interview process, whether he liked it or not, because apparently every GM got asked, what about Patrick Roy? So I found that strange in and of itself, but
right.
that's another story. Mark Crawford, who did say live on TSN that he was in fact a candidate, and I actually really, really, really love a comment he made when asked specifically that question of would he want to be a coach for the Montreal Canadiens. So he's already got a little check mark as far as I'm concerned. Bob Hartley, who is francophone, who speaks French, and could in fact be a member.
Has success in Europe.
And, then we threw out some other names of coaches that are available, like Paul Maurice, and, the list goes on, and you were mentioning Hamel.
Michel
Therrien, who is also part of La Presse's poll.
There's even rumors about Carbonneau coming back.
I've been hearing Carbonneau more as an assistant coach role, but yes, I've been hearing Carbonneau. But then, Whitaker, we had this conversation yesterday, and today it turned into like a heated debate, and we're probably going to end up getting to fisticuffs over it. But you want to throw the name of Alain Vigneault, and perhaps even Claude Julien into the mix. And I know you've been hearing more Vigneault than Julien, but if you have to throw one in, you kind of have to throw the other in. I wanted to omit them because technically they're still employed. So I don't understand.
If the question is which of the available coaching candidates could be the next, coach of the Montreal Canadiens, then fine, because that fits the criteria if you're going to use in the word available. I mean, yes, Claude Julien, and the main one that I've been lobbying for is Alain Vigneault.
Yes.
They are under contract, so things have to happen. But like Marc Bergevin said, wow, I'm already messing up his name.
Yeah, let's get his name straight.
Like Marc Bergevin said back in January in that clip that, when he was asked about, hey, do you want to be GM in the Montreal, would you find yourself in working for the Montreal Canadiens? Like, well, a lot of water has to go under the Pont Champlain before that happens. Yeah. Well, I think it's the same thing with Alain Vigneault. Personally, I think that if he is granted the ability to a lot of things have to happen. The ownership has to let him go. There has to have the discussion with the Montreal Canadiens as to how that would impact things. So, yes, some things have to happen, but I think Bergevin has opened the door for that. And he said he has to talk to his coaching staff. He has to see what's happening with his current coaching staff. Yes, he has got to get a coach, but he has to take some time to do it. And I just think that taking some time is allowing the doors to open for one Alain Vigneault.
Well, you also have to take in consideration, if you're going to talk about coaches under contracts, how about Monsieur Joël Quenneville?
Joël Quenneville, who actually was signed by Bergevin, who Bergevin put behind the bench in the Stanley Cup winning Chicago Blackhawks.
I'm sure if ever Chicago let him go for whatever reason, I mean, they lost in the first round, I'm sure he would be the first choice in Bergevin's.
But you see, and this is why, you can start adding to the list. Okay, what about Mike Babcock?
Okay, so let's do it.
Technically, he has not signed an extension with the Detroit Red Wings, and if you're going to wait till, July 1st or August 15th or September 5th, you might as well throw all those guys' names in.
Well, then let's do a two-parter. How about today we talk about who's available, see the people's responses, and tomorrow we talk about who outside of the realm of availability, where other things have to happen, who would you see come in? And we'll see the people's reaction to that.
Okay, so then here's what we're going to do. The Twitter question for today, and of course here at 514-790-0990 throughout the day, will be of the available coaches, and we'll list 4 names, including Patrick Roy, Mark Crawford, Bob Hartley, and we'll find a consensus 4th pick. Who would you pick? And then tomorrow's Twitter question of the day will be of the perhaps soon-to-be available coaches, who would you pick? And then we'll pit them head-to-head next Saturday.
Because when it came to looking for the GM candidates, the Montreal Canadiens called people and looked at people who were under contract. They didn't let the small little dubious thing like contract get in their way.
Well,
and I think it's the same thing with the head coach.
Well, when you're talking about GMs, it's a totally different thing.
I don't think
it's a totally
so.
different scenario.
I don't agree.
You work in a hierarchical society where the rules for the common lower working class people aren't necessarily the same as the upper echelon. So I mean, there is a difference there, and it's an old boys thing, and it's like, you remember when you got your shot? Let us have a chat with your guy. And
right, but
like,
this is where,
right.
yeah, but in those same rules, when you have the upper guys like the GM and the executive VP wants to bring in their guy, then he has a conversation because it's directly linked to that old boys network. So this is where I think the coach can come in, whether they're under contract or not. No fisticuffs happened during the course of taping of this episode.
Not yet, as a matter of fact. Yet.